Wilko and Courtney storm Bells Beach. Meet John Lennon, the sailor. New boss at the VOR. And now in the newsroom, here is Andy Van Zyl. NC Sports, plunge into the action.
Welcome back to the latest edition of NC Sports. I'm Andy Van Zyl, and it's been another packed week for water sports with multiple events happening around the world. Here's today's lineup. Wilkinson scores back-to-back wins while Conlogue leaps to number 1. All the results and the insight from Bells Beach on today's top story. A second fatality at the Clipper Race. Claudia Casagrande joins the studio with a report and the reaction from Robin Knox Johnston. Trofeo Princesa recap from Palma, and the Indoor de France in Paris. ICF seeks new slalom tech. Happening Events 360, John Lennon's sailing passion revealed in the Bermuda Tapes. Plus, it's official, Mark Turner is the new CEO of the Volvo Ocean Race, and much more. The 2016 WSL season has kicked off down under. And much like on the Gold Coast opener, the second Bells Beach stopover was again full of surprises. There's a new Aussie prodigy on the WSL, late bloomer Matt Wilkinson, while last year's runner-up Courtney Conlogue wants some payback. It's all right here, right now on Top Story.
Bells Beach surf forecasts were on the spot last week as long 8 to 9 foot right-handers hit shore and with strong winds blowing on the fast-breaking swell. Supreme conditions reigned at this second of 3 Aussie Classics on the WSL Tour calendar, but the final results were at least unexpected. A Fitzgibbons vs. Conlogue final became a super tight battle of the wills with both surfers responding blow for blow. A 9:33 posted in Wave 2 turned out to be decisive for Conlogue, taking the win over Fitzgibbons by a mere tenth of a point. With this result added to her recent second place on the Gold Coast, last year's runner-up now leaps to number 1 on the WSL Tour rankings.
Obviously, I want to win a world title, but it's not going to be an easy feat. And I know I had a good start, but there's still 8 more contests, and now I kind of put a target on my back, so I guess I'm going to just have this yellow dot on me and going to just keep having fun and picking the good waves.
The swell got even bigger for the men's rounds up to the weekend final. This is no year for the top-seeded. A Wilkinson back-to-back win was beyond a brave bet, yet Matt posted the huge scores when they counted the most, and his cool, powerful backhand once again struck gold with the judges. After crushing Ferreira 17-12 on his path for this men's final was a feisty Jordy Smith, who confirmed his comeback following a tough recovery from injury by defeating Mick Fanning in his quarterfinal. But landing a 9:20 and backing it up with another 8:17, the newfound Aussie prodigy was unstoppable on the last heat and held back the talented South African 16:37 to 14:16, proving twice that he is no freak accident.
Yeah, I've been trying to win everywhere forever, and it's never happened. And this year, I just seem to keep picking up trophies, which is making me feel pretty good. But it's so beautiful here, and I've been coming here for so long. Rip Curl, who've supported me ever since I was 10 years old. I've been coming down to this event, and I've always wanted to win it, and finally got my chance. And yeah, I'm so stoked.
The tragic news coming from the Pacific Ocean with the loss of another crew member on board Wilko last weekend shocked the sailing community worldwide and is now placing some serious doubts on the addition of the Clipper Round the World race. An experienced adventurer on land and sea, Sarah Young was just 40 years old. Claudia Casagrande has the report and will be joining us here in studio for some analysis.
Clipper Round the World Yacht Race crews were back on course to Seattle after another tragic death, once again on board Itcher Cole. 40-year-old London-based businesswoman Sarah Young had been tidying the yacht's cockpit after reefing the mainsail when she was washed overboard and swept away by a large wave at 11:27 a.m. UTC on April 1st at 39 degrees north, 160 degrees east. She was not tethered to the yacht at the time. The tragedy occurred during the 9th and toughest leg from Qingdao, China to Seattle through the Northern Pacific. The question on everyone's lips now is, why wasn't she tied up? The answer will come from the full investigation into Young's death promised by Clipper Race founder Sir Robin Knox Johnston, who emphasized the commitment to crew safety in an official statement. Selected amateur sailors receive 4 weeks of training prior to shoving off and are instructed to wear personal safety harnesses with lines latched to the vessel at all times. Over 4,000 amateur sailors have trained for and participated in the Clipper Race to date. There have been no previous deaths in the 20-year history of the race, yet this is now the second fatality of this current edition. 49-year-old British sailor Andrew Ashman, another Itcher Cole team member, died after being hit by a boom in 30-knot winds last September, in the first stretch of this 40,000 nautical mile race. The 2014-2015 edition also had a close call when Andrew Taylor, a 46-year-old crew member of Derry Londonderry Dwar, fell overboard during a sail change. Luckily, he was fished out of the water and survived after an hour and a half in the freezing Pacific. Described on Facebook by a teammate as a witty, ballsy, and caring lady, Sarah Young had already sailed more than 20,000 nautical miles, halfway around the globe, before setting off for Race 9 of the 14-stage challenge, and had also taken part in other expeditions, including mountaineering, trekking, marathons, and deep-sea diving. Sarah had no children, but leaves behind a partner. NC Sports will be updating you on the investigation as it unfolds.
Claudia, thank you for joining us here in studio on this rather somber topic. This is the second death in this edition at the Clipper Round the World race. And we also had a very close call in the previous race. And now there's this big investigation going on, but what is the broader picture? The whole Clipper Round the World race might be come into question now, right?
Well, definitely the safety issue at the Clipper has taken center stage, and it clearly shocked Sir Robin Knox Johnston immediately released this statement.
Well, she was a very popular member of the crew, very easy person to like. She was a victualler on board, in fact, so she was the one responsible for all the food. So she was an experienced sailor, and I suppose we're all still sort of wondering how on earth she happened to get washed overside and why she wasn't tethered on. So we're all in a bit of shock, to be honest with you, because this isn't the sort of thing we're used to having happen with us. I mean, we've had 2 fatalities in 20 years, and it just doesn't happen, but I'm afraid it has on this occasion.
Certainly a very emotional statement there from Robin Knox Johnston, who was the pioneer of offshore racing, and now he seems to be carrying the full weight of this investigation on his shoulders. You know, as this sport evolves and gets more popular, some analysts are even saying that this game is just too dangerous for amateurs. What would you think?
Well, for now, the crews in the participating yachts in this year's edition have decided to go on with the race, also in memory of Sarah Young.
Well, we'll certainly be following up on this breaking story in the coming editions. And now, post-technology wanted by the ICF, Paris nights at the Indoor France, and the final results from Palma de Mallorca. Stay tuned for the NC Sports Briefs.
If you're a techie designer looking for a challenge and a €3,000 cash prize, the International Canoe Federation has just launched the worldwide competition Design the Gate. Much like for goal line tech and other sports applications, the ICF is calling for designs and models for new canoe slalom gates that would allow a clear understanding of touches by competitors. Open to fans, athletes, coaches, federations, and industry, the bid is for both electronic and mechanical gate designs, and winners receive help in developing the selected prototypes. Vice President and 3-time Olympic gold medalist Tony Estanguet will be among the judges.
More than 15,000 fans were on hand as windsurfers from around the globe gathered in the heart of Paris for the 2016 Indoor de France All-Star Wind Games. After a first day dominated by legends Robin Knox, Antoine Albeau, Eric Thiem, and Robert Territeo, it was time for the new generation to show their stuff in the giant indoor pool lined with high-powered fans generating up to 30-knot winds. Triple world champion Brazilian Kauli Seadi triumphed in the freestyle event, while PWA Wave world champion Thomas Traversa and Nicolas Algacian captured the ramp and slalom events respectively. In the women's camp, Maëlle Guilbeault prevailed in the slalom competition, Nathalie Cotard took the top honors in the ramp, and Alice Arutkin won the freestyle. Territeo and Thiem, who both made it to the slalom and ramp finals, announced this would be their last indoor competition. The windsurfing Super Show returned to the French capital after a 12-year hiatus.
With the Olympic Games fast approaching, final results from the 47th Trofeo Princesa Sofia in Palma de Mallorca last weekend gave signs of what may come. In the men's 470s, Aussies Belcher and Ryan steamrolled to victory with 6 wins and 9 races, ahead of the USA and Greece. Among the ladies, Poland came back on the last stretch with Skripulec Mrozek narrowly beating Brazil and Great Britain. Irish surprise in the 49ers with Seaton McGovern ahead of Outridge Jensen and Botin Lopez, but without Burling and Tuke, now busy with the America's Cup World Series. 6 wins and consistent placements on the FX also secured gold for Dutch women Beckering and Duits. Palma spelled Maloney, Scheidt and Stepanovic on the lasers, evoking a possible Rio 2016 podium. Much like with the Laser Radial and Tinkanen, Van Acker Rindam for the girls. While Kiwi Josh Jr. proved why he'll be a contender on the fins in Brazil, pushing back Scott and Etumatka. Again, Besson and Ryu dominated the NACRA 17, this time chased by Austria and Denmark. More Rio favorites atop the RSX podium in Palma with Squires, Tarnowski and Kokolanis. While the top-seeded fell back on the women's course as Russia's Maslivets took gold ahead of Italy and Holland.
Watersports 360, John Lennon's secret Bermuda Tapes, Ocean Safari preview.
Lots going on the world's waters.
That's absolutely right, and we'll be back here on NC Sports with more. Welcome back. And the ongoing events this week are just so many that we've decided to give you a flash tour across the globe. Check it out in our all-new segment, NC Sports 360. And then join us, Andy Pansale and Claudia Casagrande, for more results, insight and analysis.
Coming up, John Lennon, Mark Turner, and Ocean Safari.
It's a busy week for water sports with multiple ongoing events worldwide, so here is a quick roundup on NC Sports 360. Major power boating action just hit the shores of the Emirates for the Fujairah Grand Prix in Stop 2 of the new 2016 XCAT season. And it's a chase on Team X Dubai. Meanwhile, in Long Beach, California, the Crimson Jacket is up for grabs at the Congressional Cup, the World Match Racing Tour Classic. Williams and Canfield on the favorites list. Bells Beach just rang, but the pros are already moving to the southern tip of Western Australia for the Margaret River Pro. Targets are on Wilkinson and Conlogue. Final tests before Rio 2016 for the 470 in Palma and for the 49er with the 49er effects in Barcelona. Races are already underway for both the European Championships. Catch up on the full results in the next NC Sports editions.
Well, not too many people know this, but John Lennon actually had a passion for sailing, and this passion inspired a new app. Now, Claudia, you've been following this special story. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, Yoko Ono with the NGO Why Hunger just launched the Bermuda Tapes, revealing a new side to Lennon's life and work. Let's check it out. Was John Lennon a sailor at heart? A new app chronicling the former Beatles' journey on board a 43-foot Hinckley centerboard sloop from Newport, Rhode Island to Bermuda in 1980 has been released by his widow Yoko Ono and the non-profit organization Why Hunger. It seems submarines weren't the only seafaring vessels to capture the singer's heart. Apparently, Lennon became interested in sailing in Long Island, where he and Ono had a house on the waterfront. He bought a dinghy at a local boatyard and learned to sail. He then decided to make the 700-mile offshore journey to Bermuda in search of a solution to an ongoing bout of writer's block. The voyage may have given him the inspiration he was looking for. Lennon stayed in Bermuda for 2 months and began creating new material, including Starting Over, Watching the Wheels, and Woman. The interactive app combines excerpts from Lennon's demo tapes recorded on the island with gameplay and intimate documentary storytelling. All proceeds from the app sales will benefit the Imagine There's No Hunger campaign.
Claudia, there's always a story behind a story, and it's no exception in this case. Why did he choose Bermuda?
Well, as we know, John and Yoko often referred to astrologers and tarot card readers to make many decisions in their lives. Apparently, one of the oracles told them that John needed to take a long journey in a southeasterly direction. Hence, the trip from New York to Bermuda.
Well, I guess it just takes a big personal adventure, and that's all the inspiration you need. It certainly worked for this Beatle.
Speaking of personal adventure, you just went through quite an interesting journey yourself on the production of the new season of Ocean Safari.
Yes, well, I'm not quite sure it was the same kind of voyage as John Lennon, but it certainly was a big adventure. As you said, I spent 3 months in Kenya. I was in 5 different locations, and it was a lot of fun.
How many episodes have you prepared for us this season, and what might we expect?
Well, there's 5 different episodes, and I'm in 5 separate locations, and I have 5 different challenges. I'm going to be learning new sports, kite surfing, sailing, diving. There's also an episode on conservation and Dao culture, which is actually something that's quite special to me. So I'm really excited for the release of it, which is quite soon.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff. You can catch Ocean Safari starting on May 30th at 9 p.m. here on Nautical Channel.
He is one of, if not the most successful manager on the global sailing scene. After a decade of leading the Extreme Sailing Series, Mark Turner has officially been appointed the new CEO of the Volvo Ocean Race.
That's right. This is an ongoing story that we already reported on a couple of weeks ago when Sailing Anarchy published the scoop. It looks like the bad boys of the sailing media got it right once again.
As they often do. Now, Claudia, I know you have so much to get back to in the newsroom. There's a lot going on in the nautical world. So thank you for taking the time to come and see us here in studio today.
It's been a pleasure. Catch up with you next time.
The biggest boardroom shakeup in pro sailing is now official, as Volvo Ocean Race headquarters announced that Mark Turner will take up the role of CEO, as correctly anticipated by TradeBibleSailingAnarchy.com just a couple of weeks ago. In spite of Turner's denials at the time, evidently negotiations were in full swing. The position was vacant following the resignation of Knut Frostad last year. Under his command, the VOR has reached unprecedented popularity, also placing the commercial viability of the event at the very pinnacle of the sport, and besting even the last America's Cup results. Hard shoes to fill for any manager, but experts and most of the community would agree that Mark is the perfect man for the job. A former Mini 650 sailor, in 1989 Turner also took part in the Whitbread race. In the 90s, as Ellen MacArthur's manager, he helped reclaim a rightful place for British offshore sailing. Then, 10 years ago, he conceived the hugely successful and now foiling Extreme Sailing Series, top event among pro circuits. He got closer to the VOR circus on the last edition as mastermind of the Franco-Chinese Dongfeng team. And that third place overall simply spoke for itself. You can't miss with Mark Turner.
Pro surfing is back in Martinique, expats do Dubai, while kiters fly at the Mondial du Vent. It's all coming up next on the NC Sports Calendar.
The WSL Men's QS 3000 Series returns to the Caribbean April 17th to 24th for the 2016 Martinique Men's Surf Pro. After a successful maiden edition at the Basse Pointe venue in 2015, the event is expected to attract an even bigger and stronger crop of contenders this time around, including last year's winner, 19-year-old rising star Hawaiian Joshua Monitz. Co-sanctioned by the European and North American WSL divisions, the event is a notable stepping stone for surfers seeking regional titles. The QS 3000 is the third level on the qualifying series circuit after the QS 10,000 and 6,000, and ahead of the QS 1,500 and 1,000. Following the season opener currently underway in Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, the 2016 UIM XCAT World Series gets set for another exciting Grand Prix as Round 2 kicks off in Dubai, April 15th and 16th. 14 teams are vying for the title this year, including defending champs Al Zaifin and Ben Hendy of Team X Dubai, last year's runners-up Al Tair and Al Mansouri of Abu Dhabi 5, as well as Italian double act Poli Nicolini of Team 6. Dubai is also the site of the World Series Grand Finale taking place in early December. The biggest names in kitesurfing and windsurfing come together this April in Léocat, France for the 20th edition of the Mondial du Vent, now known as the Mondial du Vent Sud France. French rider Paul Serrin, Englishman Aaron Hadlow, and the Flying Dutchman Kevin Langerie will be among those looking for a place on the podium in the freestyle competition taking place from April 16th to 22nd, while three-time world champ and record holder Alex Casagrande will face stiff competition from the likes of Rob Douglas and Charlotte Consorti in the speed competition being held from April 16th to 20th. The Mediterranean hamlet, revered by riders for its tramontane winds, will also play host to Round 2 of the 2016 IKA Kiteboarding World Championships from April 15th to 22nd.
That's all we have time for today, but we'll be back next week with loads more stories from around the world. I'm Andy Van Sale, and remember, plunge into the action with NC Sports.